Hello everyone. The Spring Sephora sale starts on Friday, April 10th, and so I've been going through all of the products that Sephora sells and pulling out the ones that I think may be most appropriate for those of us who do have sensitive skin. And so at the beginning of this video, I'll be talking about new products, and then later on in the video, I will be talking about products by brand. And so for each brand, I will give you a grade sheet of what I have thought of all of the products from the brand that I have tried. And for the new products, if I have already reviewed them, then I will point you towards the reviews that I've done. And for a lot of these products, I do already have them, but I haven't reviewed them yet. And so therefore, I will be doing little mini reviews and demonstrations here in this video. And so if there is a new product or an older product that you're interested in, then I think that you should be able to find that really quickly by looking at the timestamps in the description box. And it is the case that there are certain ingredients that I always do avoid and that I know tend to be particularly irritating for other people as well. And so I just won't be talking about products with those ingredients in this video. And so let's start out by talking about sunscreens because this is the time of year for that and because the Sephora sale can be a good chance to save a little bit of money on sunscreens, which can be very expensive. And so for the past 2 years, I have been talking about sunscreen boosters and about the fact that these are actually just chemical sunscreens that act just the way that regular chemical sunscreens do in terms of absorbing UV light and also in terms of being absorbed into the system and in terms of their chemical type structures, except that they have never been submitted for regulatory approval. And for me, they tend to be just as irritating as regular chemical sunscreens, and so I do avoid those. And there are an awfully lot of companies out there that are saying that they're selling mineral sunscreens, but that sneak these sunscreen boosters in them. And so I am trying to find ones that do not include those. And so Sephora lists 186 sunscreens that they are selling at present, and I did look through the ingredient list for all of these, so that did take a while, and I did come up with 20 different options of sunscreens that do not include the chemical sunscreen boosters or chemical sunscreens, and that's actually a bit better than last year, so I was encouraged to see that. And so of those 20 sunscreens, 2 of those do include synthetic fragrance, and another couple of them do include natural processed fragrance, which I also mostly try to avoid. But I do have at least 16 sunscreens that I think could be worth considering. And I'm actually going to do a whole video on shopping for sunscreens, not just at Sephora, but at other places that hopefully I can get finished before the end of the Sephora sale. And so if you are interested, you may want to wait for that video. But of the sunscreens that Sephora is selling, 2 of these I did try out and really liked last year. So one of those is the one from St. Jane, which I think is a particularly good sunscreen to wear underneath foundation, or just in general. I do really like that one a lot. And then there's another one from a company called Lion Pose, which is also quite good. And so if you're interested in the sunscreens that I did like in the past, then you can take a look at my previous videos, which are in a playlist, and I will put that in the description box. And now let's talk about new foundations. And so there are 8 of these that have appeared on the Sephora website that I do think might be appropriate for those of us who do have sensitive skin. And I've tried out a couple of them and done full reviews on them. And so the one that I've liked the most is from m.ph by Mary Phillips. And that one is medium coverage and it just has a bit of silicone in it. And I do think that it has performed really well for me. And so I have been using that one from time to time. The other one that I've already reviewed is from Estee Lauder. That is their reformulation of their Double Wear foundation, and I do think that that one has some potential for people that have sensitive skin. I found it for me to be a bit drying and possibly very slightly irritating, and so I don't anticipate wearing that one a lot myself, but I do think that for some people that one might be a good one, especially if you're going to an event where you have to look good under really challenging conditions like humidity and heat. And then in terms of concealers, there are 8 of those that have been released since the beginning of 2026. And of these, I think that the one that I have liked the most is the Cerakote Face Flex Corrector. So I have already used and highly recommended their concealer in the past, but I do think that this corrector has worked for me really, really well also. And so I do certainly recommend that one. Another concealer that I have really, really liked is from Milk, and this is called the Hydro Grip Concealer. And I did do a full video where I reviewed that and also the foundation that is from Milk. And so if you're interested in that one, and I do highly recommend that one, then you can take a look at that video. And then there are some other products that I have already tried out, and in a lot of cases that I've reviewed in previous videos. And the other ones that are listed here I will be reviewing briefly in this particular video, and also in most cases showing you some demonstration footage. And one thing that I will mention is that Dolce & Gabbana has a few makeup products at Sephora now, and I've been using Dolce & Gabbana makeup products ever since they came out 2 years ago when they redid their whole line. And there are a number of products that I really like, and some of my favorites are here at Sephora, so I'll be talking about that later on in this video. And also MAC is now sold at Sephora, or at least some of the MAC products, and there are a few MAC products that came out this year that I have really, really been liking. And then next I have a shopping list of new products that I am thinking about getting that are new to the market. And so in bold, these are products that I am planning to for sure get during the sale and that I am actually interested in. And then I'm thinking about the others. And so if you have tried any of these others, then do please let me know about those and what you have found out about them. And I already have ordered the new cream bronzers from Westmont Atelier, from the Westmont Atelier website. And so when that comes in, which should be in the next couple of days, then I will try to do a brief video on that, a couple of minutes or so that you can take a look at that and decide if that is something that you would want to buy at the Sephora sale. And I'm definitely interested in which of these products that I am considering getting you might be the most interested in. And so please do let me know about that in terms of which ones I might want to actually purchase to review. Now, one thing that I did notice is that there seems to be a little trend of lip stains, and so there are several different companies that are coming out with new lip stains, and so I haven't really used very many lip stains in the past, and these tend to be very, very staining, but there's one from Huda Beauty, which is called Lip Contour, and one from Kulfi, which is called the Staining Lip Liner, and one from Summer Fridays, which is called the Flushed Lip Stain, and all of those are like lip stain lip pencils so that you can just draw really carefully around your lips. And I have heard that all of these do stay on the lips for really a long time. And I'm not sure if I really am interested in staining my lips or experimenting with this category, but I may be missing out if I don't give them a try. And so let me know if you have tried any of those or if you're interested in those. And regardless of what tier you are, you can get 30% off Sephora Collection products. And so the real Sephora Collection products that I actually really like are usually the Pro Collection brushes. And so those are priced pretty competitively during the sale. And I feel like for me, the quality has been pretty much similar to the BK brush type quality. And so I do have a number of those and I have used them quite a lot. And they also have a velour makeup powder puff that I kind of like, and that is $9 at the regular price. And so for $6, I think that that's a pretty good deal. And so now let's move into the discussion by brand. And so we will start with m.ph. And I did do a video a month or two ago where I talked about 2 of these little mini eyeshadow palettes. And so one is called Embers and the other one is called Haze. And I did really like those. And I think that especially if you can get a discount on those, that those are quite good eyeshadow palettes for the price that they are charging. And in addition, they have a new line of eyeshadow sticks, and I did pick up one of these, and the one that I picked up is called Mystic, and it kind of has a little bit of a fluorescent vibe to it, so I'm not sure it's the best product for me, but I do think that it works pretty well as an eyeshadow stick, and that it holds up pretty well, and so I would be a little bit interested in taking a look at some more of these to see if there's any other colors that might work out a little bit better for me. They also have a new eyebrow pencil that is called the Archie Brow Microblade, which is a particularly thin pencil, and it's actually thinner than their Brow Wiz pencil, which has been one of the most popular products that they sell. And so if you're looking for a very thin eyebrow pencil, which tends not to work all that well for me personally, then that could be one to look into. They also have a foundation that is called the Impeccably Blurring Matte Foundation, and I actually do have that one, and I've never actually done a online review of that, but I do see that they have a number of new shades in that. That is a matte foundation, and for me, I didn't find it to be irritating, so that is a big plus. And I think as full coverage matte foundations go, that one is not too bad, and so that would be one to consider if you are looking for something like that. But I think that for me, I need something that's a bit lighter coverage and also that is a little bit better in terms of working with my wrinkles. Now, there are a few products from Alpyn Beauty that I do really, really like. So for the most part, I am really only using unscented skincare at this point. And so the products from them that I really like are, first of all, their Super Peptide and Ghost Berry Moisturizer, which is like a barrier cream. And that one has been really terrific. I have really liked that one, and I use it pretty much all summer. And then they also have a line-filling eye cream, and that one has both bakuchiol in it and also caffeine and some peptides, and I think that as eye creams go, that is my very favorite. And then there's a couple more products that I have also really liked, and so there is a firming serum that is really just like a hydrating type of a serum that I use to mix into my moisturizers to give it a little bit more hydration to my skin, especially in the winter months. And then also they have a Super Sculpt serum for face and neck, and I really just use that on my neck, and I do think that that is a nice product and that maybe it's helping a little bit. Now, a lot of people have been talking about Armani recently because they reformulated their foundation, but that one does still, unfortunately, have fragrance in it, so I am skipping that one. Now, the product that I do really like from Armani are their lipsticks, and so they come in a lot of different colors. There's matte versions, which are like a creamy type matte, and satin, which are just a little bit shiny, but not very much. And I think that these have performed really well for me. They don't have any kind of a fragrance in them. And in general, I think that these are still among my favorite lipsticks, although they are a little bit pricey. And I think that for these, the colors are really on point, and that in general that I have 4 or 5 of them, and I think all of the colors have been really, really good. One of my top videos of all time has been the one that I did where I used Augustinus Bader Rich Cream on half of my face for a full year, and I did persuade myself at least that it actually was helpful to me, and most of the people that responded to the video thought that my face that had the Augustinus Bader cream on it did look better. And so I do still use a pump or two of the Augustinus Bader cream on my face every day, and I do think it's made a difference. And actually, when I look at the videos that I did of me before I used the rich cream at all, which was 2 or 3 years ago, I think that I actually am looking better now. And so that is another reason that I think that this is a good idea to keep using. And then in addition, I also really like the Augustinus Bader lip balms, and that has the same proprietary peptide in it that the rich cream does. And I think that for my lips, this is actually very nice, and that my lips do feel a little bit healthier and a little bit more full, and the lipstick stays on better. And so I am motivated to keep using those. And I also really like their cream cleansing gel, just as a regular makeup remover cleanser type of a product. And I don't feel like that probably is doing that much in terms of anti-aging because it probably doesn't have that much of that proprietary peptide in it, and I don't leave it on the face very long, but I do think that as cleansers go that that is very nice and very mild and does a very nice job. And so even though it is pricey, I do really like it. Now, Biossance is a company that really doesn't use fragrance in any of their skincare, and I have had some good luck with some of their products in the past. They were sold, and there are some people that have complained and said that some of the products are not as good as they used to be. But I did pick up one new product, which is called the Growth Factor Firming Moisturizer, and I just have this little container of it. And I've just used this a couple times, and I don't feel like it's been irritating, and so I do want to at least finish off this container. But so far, so good, at least in terms of my being able to tolerate it. And of the products from them that I really like, first of all, I do really like their hand cream, and so I do use that quite frequently, and I would repurchase that one. They have a lactic acid resurfacing serum that is a hydroxy acid type of a product, and so I don't use products like that very often, but I do tend to use them a little bit around my chin because I tend to get little bumps on my chin. And so therefore I think that that is probably my favorite product in that category. And then in addition, there's a product that's called the Caffeine Toning Body Cream that includes some caffeine in it and some other ingredients, and I think that that one has been very nice, and I did use that quite a bit over the winter just on a general body cream. Now, most of the products from Bobbi Brown are not ones that I am able to use because they have either fragrance or other kinds of ingredients in them that are not appropriate for me, but there are still some products that I really like, and some of these were introduced when Bobbi Brown was there 10 years ago, but some of the other products are actually brand new, and I've actually been liking those also. And so, for instance, they have these skin enhancing multi-sticks that are from Korea, and I think that these are really a nice formula, and I did just review these on the video that I did on 2026 new products, and so if you're interested, then you can go take a look at that. And then in addition, they have a product that is called the Pot Rouge Velvet Matte Cream Blush that was released last year, and I do really like those, and so now I have two shades of these, and so one is called Tea Rose, and then the other one is called Pomegranate, and I do think that these go on very nicely to my face and blend in really easily, and these are made in Korea also, and so I have really been enjoying these. And then not all of the products from Bobbi Brown that I really like are at Sephora, but of the ones that are, I do really like these little corrector and concealer sticks. These have worked well for me, and they also have some eyeshadow eye pencils that are called the Perfectly Defining Gel Eyeliner Pencils that are still ones that have worked really well for me. And in terms of the eyeshadow sticks, the problem with those is that they do have on their may contain list aluminum powder, which does tend to be really irritating for me. But at one point I did send a list of some of the sticks that they have, and somebody from the company did some research, and what they came back and said that none of the sticks that I asked about actually had any aluminum powder in them, and so my suspicion is that not too many of the shades actually do include aluminum powder. I have liked the Caliray tubing mascara for quite a few years, and now they finally came out with the brown shade, which is called Secret Spot, and so that is what I am wearing today, and I think that that is a nice shade of brown, and that I do still really like this formula, and so I would highly recommend that. And then also other products from them that I like are their eye pencils, which are called Surf Proof, which come in a couple of different shades, and then they also have a line of liquid color correctors that I don't think are quite as good as the Ceracrea ones, at least not for me, but I do think that a lot of people like them and that they have worked okay for me as well. Now, Charlotte Tilbury has a new lip product out, and this is called the Pillow Talk Sheer Lip Tint, and it is $32. And so I did pick this one up, and I decided to get it in a red shade because I am sort of in a constant quest to find good lip sheers that are not too red, but that do give the look of a red look. And so I picked this one up in a shade that is called Cherry Talk, I think. And I did try this one out, and my feeling about this one is that it is very glossy and that it is not really strongly adhering to my lips. It tends to get outside of the lip line. And in general, I think it's pretty bright. And so I do not like this one nearly as much as the ones that I have tried out that are from Merit in their line of products that are called Lip Blush. And so this one is a bit disappointing for me, unfortunately. And I think it's possible that if I had not chosen this red color and if I had chosen something that was not quite so bright, that it would have seemed like it was performing better. But I haven't been all that enthusiastic about this, and it also does have a vanilla flavor to it, and I'm also not all that crazy about that. Now, Charlotte Tilbury also has a new concealer, and this is called the Airbrush Flawless Blur Concealer. This is supposed to be a fairly high pigment concealer, which isn't always a bad thing, and so I did pick this one up, and I actually haven't tried it at all yet, but I thought the ingredient list looked like it was probably going to be okay, and so hopefully I can review this fairly soon and get back with you on it. And if you have tried it yourself, then please let me know what you thought of it. Another new reformulation is the Charlotte Tilbury Magic Cream, and so the ingredient list for that looks a little bit better than it used to, but it still has a lot of essential oils and things in it, and so that does make it something that I'm not all that interested in, and it is pretty pricey. And last year there was a product that was called the Pillow Talk Beauty Soulmates, which is a combination of a powder and also a powder blush, and that is $55, and it comes in a container that's like heart-shaped. And I think a lot of people especially like the powder in that, and it went off the market for quite a while, and so now it is back at Sephora. Now, for me, the product from Charlotte Tilbury that I like the most is probably this Unreal Skin Glow Foundation Stick. Now, this actually is quite glowy, so you really don't want to use that probably as a foundation stick to put on your whole face. But what I have found is that if I use just a little bit of it as a highlighter, that this is a really muted highlighter that I think looks really nice on me and that I can use really easily. And I really like the fact that this is really exactly the same tone as my skin, so that makes it look particularly natural. And then other products from them that I really like are their Matte Beauty Blush Wands and also the Beauty Light Wands, and so I have picked those up recently, and I think that both of those look very natural on my skin as well. And then they also have a product that's called the Magic Water Cream, and that one does not include any kind of scented ingredients in it, and I did really like it, and I just had a small container of it, and it is $100, so I probably won't buy it again because I do have so much skincare, but I do really think that it has not been irritating and that it was really moisturizing. And it's supposed to have a lot of peptides and things in it, so it may have some cumulative value for your skin. Clinique is a brand where most of the products are not ones that I can use or that I would want to use, but I do really like their cleansing balm, which is called Take the Day Off Cleansing Balm. I think that that does a really good job of removing whatever kind of makeup I have on, and I don't really need to use a second cleanse with that, and so all in all, that is one that I can recommend. And then I still do like their Almost lipstick, including the Black Honey one, and also there's Pink Honey and also Nude Honey, and I think that that's still a nice product. Now, most products from Dior do have fragrance in those, and so I'm not willing to use those. In terms of the new products from them, the only thing that I see that I think is appropriate for people like me with sensitive skin, there is one eyeshadow palette in their Dior Show 5 Colors line, and that one is called Brown Brocart. And so the other 3 recent releases, those all do have aluminum powder in it, but the Brown Brocart one looks like it is okay. And I did see a few people demonstrate that one, and it looks kind of boring, but some people really like a brown eyeshadow palette. And then they also have Backstage eyeshadow palettes, and those have been okay for me. And if you like the color stories, then I think that that could be a good choice. And the Backstage Glow Face palettes, the universal one is like it used to be, and I do like that one, and it's not too shimmery. And I think all of the other ones that are newer, they all do have a lot of big pieces of glitter in them, and so to put glitter that is that obvious on my face, I think I would just rather skip those. Now, Dolce & Gabbana brought their whole makeup line in-house a couple of years ago, and so they have released a whole bunch of new products, and one of their original founders is actually working on that particular particular line, and so they do seem to have a lot of hope with regard to their makeup products. And they do have a lot of different products, and some of them have fragrance or other ingredients in them that are particularly inappropriate for me, and a lot of them seem to be really targeted towards young and fashion-conscious people, and so I'm not necessarily feeling that those are great for me. But nonetheless, they do have quite a few products that I have really, really liked, and I do think that the quality of those products has been really, really terrific. And so I am really happy to see that they are finally bringing a few products to Sephora, and that the products that they are bringing there are the ones, for the most part, that I have been really, really liking. And so first of all, I've really been liking their eyeshadow palettes, and so there are 3 different versions, and they all come in this heart-shaped packaging with this little design on it, and this is plastic, but I think that I actually really like it. And some people may feel that it's a bit kitsch, but I think that this is actually quite usable in terms of it not taking up a lot of space and being attractive. And so the 2 that I have right here, one of these is a brown one, and this one is called Amber Venus. And then this one is a pink version, and this one is called Rose Goddess. And I think that both of these have really terrific shades, and that the formula is really good. And so in the past, I have been a really, really big fan of the YSL eyeshadow quads, and I have purchased almost all of those. And in this case, I have purchased all 3 of these particular shadows, and I think that I like these even more than the YSL ones. And so this is something that I can highly recommend, especially if you can get it on sale during the Sephora sale. And then in addition, also at Sephora, there's a few other products that I've really liked. And so they do have bronzers, and those are kind of powder bronzers, but they have a really soft and kind of a moisturizing type of a finish to them, and I do really like those. And then they also have a blush, and the blush is in about the same formula as the bronzers, and I have really liked the one blush that I have, and I'm a little bit interested in getting another shade in that, because I do think that it is a really, really nice blush. And then they also have kohl pencils that are for the eyes, and I had never purchased one of those because they had never included the ingredient list on their website, and I could never take a look at the ingredient list. But the ingredient list that is on Sephora looks like they should be fine, and so I do want to pick up at least one of those during the sale and to give them a try. And they also have a mascara that is called the Aerofil Extra Long Mascara, and that one is one that I have not tried, and I'm not sure how I would do with it based on the ingredient list, but they do have one that is available in a mini, and so I might buy that mini as well and give that a try. Now, Dr. Barbara Sturm is a company that is supposed to be helpful in terms of controlling inflammation, and so I was really suspicious about this whole company, especially since all of the products are so expensive, but I did decide to give a few of the products a try, and I was really surprised to find that even if I just used 1 drop of some of these serums mixed into my regular smoothie of moisturizers and other kinds of facial products, that this actually made a significant difference for me. And in particular, before I started doing that, I used to feel like my skin had a lot of reddish areas on it that were irritation, and that after I started using these particular products, that it actually made a significant difference. And so I have continued to use those products, and I've tried out a few others, and I think that some of the others are okay, but I don't know that I would spend a lot of money for the other ones that I have tried. But I do think that the hyaluronic serum, and then also this super anti-aging eye serum, which I've been using just like the hyaluronic serum, which I think is a slightly more souped up version of the hyaluronic serum, I think that those have both been really, really good. And so I do intend to keep buying this and to use just 1 little drop per day mixed into my moisturizer. Now, Drunk Elephant has an awfully lot of products, and I've tried almost all of them, and I do want to do a brand review for them pretty soon. And of the products that they sell, there are a couple of them that are among my favorites that are in my entire skincare collection. And so, first of all, a couple of years ago, they came out with a barrier cream that is called the Bora Barrier Rich Repair Cream, and that is actually quite nice. And I use that quite frequently as a repair cream cream for evening use. They also have a couple of lip products that I like. So the Lippy Balm has been quite nice. That comes in a stick. And although I'm not all that crazy about using my fingers to put on lip products, I do think that the lip mask that they have, that is similar to the Lippy Balm in terms of the ingredients that are in it. And that has been nice also. And they also have an AHA product that is called the TLC Framboos Glycolic Night Serum. And that is a little bit similar to the Biossance product that I like, except it's a little bit stronger because it also has glycolic in it and salicylic acid. And so sometimes I will use that on my chin as well. And for body products, I think that it may be that my very favorite hand cream at this point is one that came out last year, and this is called the TheraBeau Buttered Reparative Hand Cream. I do really, really like this one, and I would definitely buy it again. Now, my favorite Squeezy Tube lip balms continue to be the ones that are from Eadem that are called Le Chouchou. And so I actually have all of the different shades of these, and I have really liked all of them. And surprisingly, even though all of them except for, I think, the clear ones all have some kind of a flavor in them, I found all of the flavor to be perfectly fine. So it seems clear to me that it is natural flavor, and it seems to be unusually good flavor. And so that has been really a treat. And this year they have 2 new versions that have come out. And so this one is called Chateau Rose, and I picked this one up at Sephora. And this one has just a little bit of a shimmer in it, and this one is supposed to taste like lemon meringue pie. And it does taste a little bit lemony, and I would say that it tastes very slightly bitter, but I do not mind that at all. I think it's actually quite nice. And then the other one has a vanilla flavor, and that one is more of a milky pink type of a color, and I think that that one is attractive also. And so I'll put just a little bit of this on top of the lipstick from Westman Atelier that I already am wearing. Fara Homidi has a new eyeshadow, so this is called the Essential Eyeshadow Compact, and it is $98 because it comes in one of their really expensive compacts. And I have taken a little bit of a look at that in terms of some videos that other people have done, and I'm not sure that I'm really that interested in that. There are 2 different versions. Both of them have 2 different shades of brown in them, and then one of them has a sky blue shade, which does look very pretty, but that it looks very similar to the eyeshadow stick that is from Victoria Beckham that I already have and that I do like a lot. And then the other one has a shade in it that's black. And in general, I think that those look like I probably wouldn't like them too much. And I think that they are actually supposed to crease, that they actually say on the website that you should expect them to crease. And so in general, I don't think I will be buying that. In terms of the products from Fara Homidi that I have purchased that I've kind of liked, that would be the Essential Bronzer Compact, and that does come in a kind of a lovely shade that is just kind of like a pink taupe. And so some people really liked this so much that I decided to do a video where I looked at whether or not there could be substitutes for it that were less expensive. And so that video came out back in December or so. And then I also found that some of the new Westman Atelier contour stick shades are also very similar to this, and that I like those probably the most. And so I probably won't be rebuying this one, and I do still use it on occasion, but I think some of the other products actually are better as far as I'm concerned. Most of the products that are available from Glossier do go back quite a ways, and so those are starting to feel a little bit behind in terms of how much the makeup industry has improved over the past few years. But there are a few products that I do still really like, and so I do really like these lip pencils that were released a year or 2 ago. And so these are called the Lip Line lip pencils, and they come in a lot of different attractive shades. And I think that especially if you think about the price point, that these perform actually really well. And I continue to really like the Ultra Lip lipsticks from Glossier. And I think that these are actually fairly similar to the new lipsticks that are the shiny ones from Westman Atelier, and so if you don't want to spend $50 for a lipstick and instead you want to spend $22, I think that this could be a good option. And then they have a couple of different blush in the Cloud Paint line, so they're old-fashioned Cloud Paint liquid blushes I still kind of like, and then they have some new ones that are powder that are called Cloud Paint Plush Blush, and those were okay, and those were released last year. And I think that their Future Dew Solid Illuminator, that is a good color, at least for me, and as a little bit of a highlighter that is cream that is working a little bit on my skin like a Jones Road Miracle Balm type of a product in terms of the look that it's giving me. I like that one also. Most of the Gucci products do have fragrance or other problematic ingredients in them that make them a no-go for me, but there are a couple of products that I have liked. So the first one is the Gucci Glow Dewy Powder Blush, and it is $49. And so it comes in this quite lovely container, and so I have a shade that is called Arctic Rose, and that is actually what I put on my cheeks today. And I think this is actually really nice. Now, what I really think is that it is very similar to the RMS blushes, though, and those are much more reasonably priced, and I think I might like them a bit more. But in terms of the container for these, I think that these are quite nice, and so I don't mind using this at all. And then the other product from Gucci that I have liked that I reviewed last year is the Gucci Glow Skin Tinted Moisturizer, and that comes in a plastic tube that some people have thought was not fancy enough for Gucci, and it's a little bit on the pricey side, but as a regular silicone-based tinted moisturizer go, I think that one has been fine for me, and it certainly was not irritating. Now, Haus Labs has not released any products for a while, but the ones that they do offer I really, really like in a lot of cases. So I do really like these Color Fuse blush balms, and so last year they came out with 4 in shades that are more like bronzy blushes, and I especially like those, but they also have a lot of bright ones that I think are sort of wearable by me, and they do blend in really easily. And I do find that I can use these on both my lips and my cheeks. And then also Haus Labs makes a line of lip crayons, and these are called Le Monster, and I think that these behave really, really well. And they do come in a variety of different shades, and some of them are kind of reddish shades where I can get a look that is a little bit more like I'm wearing red lipstick, but that it's not too bright. And so in general, I feel like every time I use these, I am surprised at how much I like them. And then some other products that they have that I really like. I do really like their blush, and it is really bright, and all of the colors are really bright, so that is a little bit unfortunate for me because I have to be really careful and maybe even use something like a fan brush. But I do think that the way that this performs is really, really a good formula, and it is kind of soft and blends in really easily. And so I think especially if you like bright blush that this is a good one. And other products from Haus Labs that I've really liked, I like their Triclone Skin Tech Foundation. I do think that performs really well. That is from Korea, and it does go on the skin very easily and very thin, so it doesn't really look like I am wearing too much makeup, but it does give a substantial amount of coverage. And it does have a lot of different shades, and I do feel like I got a particularly good match in this particular formula. And also they have a new mascara that they brought out at some point, I think last year, which is called the Be Structural Mascara. And unfortunately, it's only available in black, but I do think as black mascaras go that this one is very nice. It's kind of like a tubing mascara, and I think that has behaved really, really well for me and has been one of those mascaras that I can just throw on and forget about it, and that it doesn't cause me any problems at all. And I also really like these lip glazes, and so I don't feel like they are as moisturizing as some of the lip products that are on the market, and I mostly wear it more during the summer months when I don't need quite so much moisturizing of my lips. But in terms of it looking really nice on my lips, in terms of it behaving really well, and also it does have some peptides in it, I think that all of those things are really great, and I have several colors of this, and I do always really enjoy this when I use it. Now, Hourglass has a new product which is called the Unreal Liquid Highlighter, and it is $38. And this is in the same container as their Unreal Liquid Blush that was released maybe 2 years ago or so. And so I didn't like that at all with the liquid blush, because what I felt like is that it was very messy and that I had to make a few drops on the back of my hand, and then I would have to wash my hand, and that when I put it on my skin it tended to be kind of patchy, and so I got almost no use out of the liquid blush. But I did try the new liquid highlighter at Sephora, and I actually did like that. And I think that the thing with that is that it doesn't have all that tint in it, and so it blends more easily and it doesn't look patchy. And in general, I wouldn't mind having that, so I might pick it up. I'm more just not picking it up so far because I am still kind of stinging from spending that much money on that liquid blush and almost never using it. Now, in terms of other products from Hourglass, I do really like their skin tint, which is called Veil. I think that that is fairly similar to the Jones Road skin tint, which is called Just Enough. And so those are fairly interchangeable as far as I'm concerned. And then all of the other products here are things that you may find in their holiday palettes. So blushes and bronzers and finishing powders and highlighters. And so I do have this palette from last year, and I do use this one pretty frequently even now. And then I have some products that are individual. So for instance, this is a nice one because it has 3 different shades of finishing powder in it, and I do really like the way that this performs. And in addition, I think that some of their blushes are nice. So for instance, this is called Mood Exposure, and I do think a lot of people really, really like this one in terms of it being kind of a muted mauve blush, and so I have gotten some use out of that one. But in general, if you can find colors that are good for you, I think that all of these powder products from Hourglass are pretty good. And by the way, I finally did find a really good bronzer shade in the Hourglass line that works well for me. And so this is called Diffused Bronze Light, and this was included in their Deer palette from last year. And so this is for sale from Sephora in a full size, and that is basically like a pinky taupe shade. And so if you're afraid of bronzers that are too orange, then this could be one to try. Ilia has a couple of new products that I have tried out, and so the first one is a concealer, and this is called the Skin Blur Serum Concealer, and I think it's been all right. I don't think it has been as good as my favorite liquid concealers in terms of how it looks under my eyes. I think that it does emphasize the wrinkles and things just a tiny little bit, so I don't think it's as good as the Sarah Creel one or the RMS one or the Say one, but I think it's pretty good. Then in addition, they came out with a new product that is called the Overglaze Lip Gloss, and this does not include any kind of a fragrance in it, and I think it's tasted fine to me, and so that part of it is good. I do feel like it's kind of messy and that it doesn't exactly stay on my lips and that it goes on pretty thick, and I do not see in the ingredient list any kind of peptides or anything like that that would make me feel like this is a particularly good one to use. And so I think it's very mildly moisturizing and that it is okay in terms of something that I would be willing to use, but it really hasn't been my choice. However, over the past couple of years, they have come out with quite a few products that I've really, really liked. And so they came out with this line of eyeshadow sticks that are actually my favorite eyeshadow sticks now. And I think that these perform really well. They go on the eyes and they look very nice, and more so than most of the other eyeshadow sticks that are out there. I do think that they stay on the eyes pretty well and that they do not wear off, and there is a wide variety of different shades, and none of them have aluminum powder in them, and so I do find it to be a real relief not to have to think about that with regard to these shades and just to be able to use any of them. And I do really like the way that they look. And the only thing that I would suggest is to make sure that you put the cap on them tightly, which I have been doing, and so mine have been fine for me. But the ones at Sephora do get dried out pretty easily because people don't put the caps on. And then Ilia also has a line of baked powder blushes, and I think that these are really, really terrific in terms of the formula, and they do have a lot of really lovely shades, including ones that are fairly muted, and even the ones that have brighter colors do seem to work pretty well on me because they do blend into my skin so easily. And so I have really, really liked these. The only thing that I will say is that there's no mirror in here, and so that's a little bit annoying to me, even though I know that some people say that that is better for the environment. And then they have a couple of skincare products that have been released during the past couple of years that have been really, really good for me as well. So the first one that I use very frequently is the Base Face Milk, and so I think that that is really good in terms of providing some hydration for my face for the morning, and I think that that also works really, really well as a base under a variety of different kinds of makeup, and I haven't found anything that it hasn't worked with. And I also used up a whole jar of their Barrier Build Skin Protectant Cream, and I thought that that was a very nice product and that my skin liked it quite a lot. And then I do still like their Limitless Lash Mascara, and especially now that they have a brown shade, I am a big fan. The first product from Isamaya that I tried was their Lips Balm, and I actually did a full video about those before they came to Sephora because I did like those so much, and I still am a really big fan of those lip balms, and I think that they have performed well for me. And in addition, since they've come to Sephora, they have a few more new products. So the metallic versions of their lip balms, I don't like those as much, and I think that I wish they were a little bit more in style. Maybe I would like them a bit more. They still feel good on my lips, but they are very, 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 very shiny, so you have to really like that. And the lip liners have been pretty good. I haven't minded using that at all. And other than that, I feel like I was a little bit surprised considering how good those lip balms were that I haven't liked the other products from them more. I do really still like the Kaja eye bentos, and I think as a eyeshadow that is not too expensive, that formula is quite nice, and I have several different versions, and I have really kind of gotten a good bit of use out of those. Kosas has a couple of products out that are new, and so one of those is called the Shiny Objects Highlighter, and that is one that I have tried in the store, and I do feel like that was way too shiny for me to put on my cheeks, and I think it's possible that it might work as an eyeshadow, but I don't think that $34 for that particular eyeshadow is something that I was inclined to get. And then they have a new lip gloss that has an unspecified fragrance in it, as well as a whole bunch of other types of plumping type ingredients and scent ingredients, and so definitely I want to avoid that. In terms of the products from them that I really like these blushes of theirs, which are called Blushes Life Baked Blush, and so I have the 4 lightest shades of these, and one thing that I especially like about these is that they do have a nice mix of colors for people that have lighter skin or that want something that is more muted, and then they have a nice selection of colors that are brighter, and so I think that that was a very thoughtful way to design this particular line, and I do like the formula quite a lot. In addition, they still do a really good job making powder, and so last year they came out with this Cloud Set Loose powder, and I have really liked this, and now they have a small container of it. And then I also still like their old pressed powder, which is called the Cloud Set Baked Setting Powder. I think that is still really, really good. And I also like their brow products, and in particular the Air Brow Tinted Eyebrow Gel, as well as the Brow Pop Pencil in the regular version. I don't really like the nano one as much. And in terms of their skincare, I really like their deodorant, which is called Chemistry AHA, and that is $18, and that is the deodorant that I usually wear. Now, Laura Mercier has a couple of new products, and so the first one is the Blush Color Infusion Duos, and these are $40, and these are a replacement for their old powder blushes, which were called Blush Color Infusion, and those did have talc in them, and so the new ones are talc-free, and I really like the old ones, and I especially like the fact that they had several different colors that were pretty muted, and that I was able to wear really easily, and so so I did pick up a few different versions of those, and so I am interested in picking up one of the new ones as well to see what it is like. But the reports that I have gotten of this so far is that it is actually a really, really nice formula, and so I'm looking forward to trying that out. And then in addition, they have a new lip liner, which is called the Caviar Perfecting Lip Liner. That is $30, and that one does include cottonseed oil in it. And cottonseed oil does seem to always irritate my skin when I use it, and I think that that is because cottonseed oil tends to be very heavily contaminated with agricultural chemicals, including glyphosate, and so my skin just does not get along with that, and so I've just stopped using any products with that in it. And then the third product is called the Tinted Blur Balm Skin Tint, and it is $44, and so it comes in a compact like this, and so it is just a formula that goes on, and you can put it on with a brush or you can put it on with your fingers. And my feeling about this one is that I think it's supposed to be cream to powder, and I do feel like when I have put it on my skin that it tends to be exacerbating the wrinkles or even like the pore issues or like the unevenness on my nose a little bit. And so I'm not sure if I like it, but then again, I haven't really tried it all that many different ways, and I haven't tried it on camera yet, and so I'm not saying that I think that you should go and buy it, but I do want to give it a fair chance. So I want to try it out a little bit more and then give a report back. In terms of other products from Laura Mercier, I think it was last year that they came out with some new bronzers. And so these are called the Bronze Color Infusions, and those are talc-free, and I did really, really like those, and I have a couple of different shades. I think that the lightest one may not be available on Sephora, though, but in general, I do really like those. And then other products from Laura Mercier that I like their matte eyeshadow sticks. I think that those are very nice, but they don't really last all that well on the eyes. So they are not really like the old-fashioned ones or like the Bobbi Brown ones that last for a long time. But I do like the way that they look. They look very similar, I think, to, for instance, the Jones Road sticks. And the shimmer ones I don't like nearly as much. I don't think that they got that right, and they put aluminum powder in a lot of them because they wanted to make them look better, I think, because they didn't quite get a good formula. And then I also really like the Real Pressed Luminous Pressed Powder. And that is a powder that I use as like a finishing powder. It has just a little bit of shimmer in it, but not so much that I think it's problematic at all. And I do like their eyeliners, which are Caviar Tightline eyeliners. I have had good success with those. I haven't had all that much success with Lawless products, but what I will say is that the Forget the Filler foundation, that is available in a number of new shades. So when they came out with that one, they really had hardly any shades for people with fair or light skin, and so most of us really were not able to find a good shade in that. But they did come out with a bunch of new shades, and so I think that most people should be able to get a pretty good shade match now. That is a foundation that is higher coverage, and it is supposed to not necessarily be for people with really oily skin, and so if you do want something with higher coverage, then you may be able to do well with that. And I have tried it a few times at the store, and I think that it has not been irritating for me at all, so that part has been good. But it is a higher coverage foundation, so if a lot of people with more mature skin may not be interested in that one. Lion Pose is a brand that is run by some dermatologists that have some connections with Harvard, and so I do really like the Pep Talk Barrier Repair Cream. I think that compared to a lot of these creams, that this one is a little bit lighter, and so if you have skin that really is not quite so dry, then that might be a good one for you, but I definitely used up a whole bottle, and if I were to get more of it, I would certainly use up more bottles of it as well. And then they have this Unghosted Sunscreen, and I think this one has performed really well for me. But that one does have a fairly strong smell of cucumbers, and it is natural cucumber. But if you think that that might bother you, then that is the one thing about that one that I would suggest could be problematic for some people. m.ph is a new brand by a makeup artist whose name is Mary Phillips, and she is fairly strongly associated with Hailey Bieber. And so it is a look that is supposed to be fairly natural looking, but that also is fairly sculpting. And so a product from them that I tried very recently and did a full video about is their Skin Weightless Serum Foundation, which is $49. And I did really like this one, and I was able to get a good shade match in the Sephora store. And this is medium coverage, and I thought that it looked really good on my skin. And it does have some silicone in it, but not very much, and I feel comfortable wearing this one, and so I certainly can highly recommend this one. In addition, they have a couple of lip products, and so they have some lip pencils, and these are called the Overliner lip pencils, and I think that these are somewhat similar to the Westman Atelier lip pencils. I do like the Westman Atelier ones more, but I think that these are also pretty good, and I especially like the colors of some of these. And in general, if I do want to overline my lips just a little bit, I think that these work well for that. And then they have a product that is called Lip Siggy Sheer Lipstick Balm, and this is $26, but if you calculate this on a cost per gram basis, I think this is by far the most expensive lipstick that I have in my collection because it is so tiny, and so I don't give grades based on how expensive things are. I try to ignore the price of it when I give things grades, and so I would give this an A+, but I really haven't been very motivated to buy more of these just because it is so expensive, kind of ridiculously expensive. And one thing that I will note here is that I did freshen up my makeup a bit so I could try on some additional products. And one thing that I did was to use this Charlotte Tilbury Cherry Talk shade, but in this case I put it on over a lip pencil. And so the lip pencil that I used is this new one from Natasha Denona, which is in a shade that is called Cherry Blossom, which is kind of a pinkish type of a shade, but it does lean into being that cherry. And then I put just a little bit of this Charlotte Tilbury product over the top of it. And I think it looks a lot better this way than when I put this just straight on my lips. And so I think that maybe if I use this just really lightly along with the lip liner that I can make it work for me. And that in general, if you're looking for something that is a not too saturated red type of a color, but that does have some gloss to it, that this one might have some potential. But I still feel like I like the ones that are from MAC and that are from Merit that are new a bit better for me anyway. And now let's move on to MAC, which is new at Sephora now. And so there are a number of products from MAC that I do like quite a lot. And most of them are lip products. And so they did come out with a couple of new lip products very recently. And I actually did a full video on those as well as on the ones that are new from Merit. And so one of these are these lip and cheek mousse products. And I do really like this as a blush. These are made in Korea and they do blend in very nicely. And I think that these look really terrific, and they do have some vanillin in them, but even if I use them on my lips, they're pretty much standard MAC vanillin type of flavor, and I do really like the way that they look on my cheeks. And so those are in the Powder Kiss line. And then in addition, there are lipsticks that are new in the Powder Kiss line. So they are reformulated, and so they are called Hazy Matte lipsticks. And I also talked about these in that video. And I think that these are really lovely and that they are not very pigmented, and they just put a little bit of color on the lips. And so therefore, for me, because I don't like lipstick that is really bright, I think that both of the shades that I've purchased so far have been really nice, and I would be interested in getting some more of those. And MAC also has a number of other lip products that I think are really good. Most of them are flavored with vanillin, but nonetheless, I think that the quality of them is so good that I'm sort of willing to put up with that vanillin. And so over the past couple years, they reformulated their matte lipsticks and their satin lipsticks, and I still do like their regular lip pencils, which do not have any flavor in them. And they came out with a new product last year, which is called Dazzle Lips Crayon, and I was really really afraid that that was going to be very sparkly and shiny, but I think that it has just about the right amount of sparkle in a number of the shades for me that makes it me able to wear them and to feel comfortable wearing them even during the day, but to have a little bit of extra interest on my lips. So I have really, really liked those. And I also have really liked their Lip Gloss Air product, which is a lip gloss that is not sticky and not too shiny, but that does feel good on my lips. And in addition, the one that I think is the best of all of the products that are on the market in terms of the new kinds of lip liners that are a little bit softer and not as dry as the traditional ones are these from MAC. And these are called lip glazers, and I have these 3 shades, and then during the Ulta sale I picked up another 3 of these shades just because I do like them so much. And if you compare them, for instance, to the Merit lip liners or the Rhode ones, I think that these are much better in terms of how well they stay on the lips, and I think that these colors are really gorgeous. And again, these are made in Korea. And so I did do a full video on these, and so you can take a look at that if you're interested. And I still very frequently use this MAC Prep Plus Prime product when I am using matte lipsticks. I think that that works very well. But now there is a product from Sarah Creel that I also like. And Makeup by Mario does have a lot of products that I do like, and so one that they have just brought back is this Makeup by Mario Ethereal Eyes palette, and this is the original one, and so this one has 4 different topper shades in it, which I do really like, and then a lot of other mattes that are in colors that are really easy for me to wear. And I do think that this is a very nice palette for things like weddings or just soft looks, and so I do think it's a good thing that we have access to this again. And the other product from them that I use pretty frequently and that I do think is the best of category is this Surreal Skin setting spray. And so I've never been a big fan of setting sprays, but if I want to use something that is a foundation that has a lot of oil in it, such as the Victoria Beckham one, or the one that is from Patrick Ta, or if the Jones Road one, if I was able to tolerate the essential oils that are in that, then I think that this is a really, really good product to use with those. And I don't need it quite so much in the winter when my skin is really dry, but if I want to use those products more during the summer months, then I think that this setting spray is an excellent one to stop them from being sticky and to make them wear a little bit better. And so I have gotten quite a bit of use out of this one. And I've tried a number of different setting sprays, and this one is by far my favorite, and it doesn't have any irritating ingredients in it, and I do think it works really well. And in terms of the other products that I have really liked, they have 2 different foundations, and I did a video comparing those different foundations last fall when the new one came out, and I do think that both of those are quite good foundations, and they have a little bit of a different purpose, but I can wear both of those on my mature and dry and sensitive skin. I also think that their lip pencils are pretty nice, and they are not too expensive, and so this is, they come in a whole bunch of different colors, and I think that they perform fairly similarly to other pencils, for instance, like the Chanel ones that I also like. They make a mascara that I think is quite good, and I am really happy that this is available in brown now, and so this is one of the mascaras that I've been liking the most. And last year they came out with the line of matte eyeshadows, and they go on with the little doe foot, and I think that compared to the other cream matte eyeshadows that I've tried, I have liked these the most. I don't feel like they have emphasized the texture on my eyes, and they do stay in place really, really well, and they look good. And I like the variety of colors. And so therefore, if I'm looking for something that is just a plain matte base on my eyes that looks attractive, I think that those are nice. And if I want to put a little bit of a sparkle type of an eyeshadow on top of it, I think it works really well for that as well. Now, I have heard mixed reports in terms of their eyeliners, but last year they came out with some new shades, and so I picked up this one, which is a taupe shade, and I thought that this one has worked really, really well for me. I think it's been very similar to the Sarah Creel ones, and I haven't had any problems with it either in terms of its performance or in terms of it being irritating, so I'm not sure how the other shades would work for me, but in terms of this particular product, I have really liked it. And then a final product from them that a lot of people like is their Soft Sculpt Transforming Skin Enhancer. And that is a product that is like a very thin and slippy bronzer. And it comes in a shade that is pretty nice on my skin and is not too orange. And so if I just want to have a little bit of something on my skin during the summer months, I think that is a nice thing. Now, the newest product from Merit are their lip blushes, and so these are available in 8 different shades, and I picked up all of the ones that are darker, and I think that those were really terrific, and I did a whole video where I talked about these as well as the new ones from MAC, and so I think that these do give just a little bit of color to my lips, and so it gives me the hint that I'm wearing red lipstick, but it is not too bright, and I can wear it every day, and it does feel really good on my lips. These do not have any kind of a flavor or anything in them, and I feel like they are really nice for my lips and do give my lips some moisture, and in general this is just a really, really good everyday lipstick for me. And I do think it's a bit unfortunate that they found it necessary to remove their old matte lipsticks from the market when they brought these out, because I like those as well. But apparently Merit is a company that is trying to go for a sort of a no makeup look, and so this is a really good addition to that line. And then I do still like their satin lipsticks, which also are pretty low pigment and that I think I can wear really easily, and these do have a bit more of a gloss in it. And they list flavor on the ingredient list, but they have told me that it is just raspberry oil, and I do believe that. It does taste like it's just regular natural oils. Now, one thing that I will say about these is that if I keep them for more than a year, or certainly more than maybe 2 years, then they do start to go a bit rancid, and they do have a lot of oils in there that are not really stable, and so that is something to keep in mind. But when I purchased them, they have always been fine, and they do last for quite a while after purchase. And they also have a line of lip oils, and I have liked those also, and they come in a kind of a wide variety of colors. And I think that these have held up pretty well for me, so even if I keep using them for maybe 2 years or so, they have been fine, and I do think that they look really pretty on my lips, and they are not too messy looking. And then another couple of products from them that I do still like include these foundation sticks. I think that these are really good in terms of being a cream type of a stick that I can just scribble on my face, and that it does blend in pretty easily. And I have a few different shades of this, and I think that even though the shades are different, that these are so blendable into my skin that I have been able to wear a couple of the different shades of these pretty comfortably. And they also have some blush sticks, and I think that I really like the variety of shades of these blush sticks, and I like the way that they go on. I don't feel like they last as well as some other blushes that are out there. I think they're a little bit like the Haus Labs blushes, for instance, in the fact that they don't last as long as I would like, but I do think that they look so pretty on that it does give me a little bit of motivation to wear them on occasion. And then another couple of products from them that I have gotten some good use out of include their Clean Lash Tubing Mascara. Unfortunately, that's only available in black so far, but I do think it's a nice tubing mascara. And I also still like their eyebrow gel, and so there's just a few different kinds of tinted eyebrow gels that I have really liked. And I think that this one is nice, in that if I'm using my regular Jones Road eyebrow pencil and I want to add a little bit more oomph to it and to darken some of the eyebrow hairs that I have that are pretty light, that is a good product for that. And Milk Makeup is a brand that I haven't really liked all that much, but they did just release a new concealer that actually has worked really well for me, and this is called the Hydro Grip Gel Concealer, and it is a cream concealer, and it is a concealer that you can twist up but not twist down because it is very soft in the container, and I have found that this has not exaggerated the wrinkles on my face at all. Now, I have seen a few like Sephora reviews of people that have said that they had problems with this, but I have found it to be really, really good for me. And I did do a whole video on this just a couple of weeks ago that you can take a look at if you're interested. And now we'll move on to Nars, and Nars is a brand that over the past 4 years or so, they have had hit after hit as far as I'm concerned, and so with almost no exceptions, they have been using all ingredients that I've been able to tolerate, and I have not found any of their products to be irritating, and I have found them all to perform really, really well for me. And so in terms of the new products from Nars that have been released over the past couple of months, first of all, they have a new foundation, which is a matte foundation, and I have tried that out, and I did find that it did not irritate my skin, and it's not necessarily probably going to be a foundation that I'll wear on a regular basis because it is a little bit drying, and it also is a little bit heavy for me, but I have found that it has worked okay for me, and so I do want to give that a good wear test and shoot some video footage and include that in a foundation video soon. And so I did pick up a bottle of it, and in general I think that if you are looking for a matte foundation, this could be a really good one. And then in addition this year, last year they came out with a whole line of stick blushes. And so these are called the Multiple, and I picked up a few different shades of these, and I tried on a whole bunch of different shades in the store. And I think that these blushes are really terrific. They are kind of a matte formula, but they blend really, really easily, and they are made in Korea. And I think that this is a big hit for them, and I have really enjoyed using these. And so this year they came out with a bronzer in that same formula, and so that is also called the Multiple. And so I have been trying this out, and I was a little bit nervous because in the past I have found that the Nars bronzers tend to go kind of gray on me. They tend to be more suited, I think, for contouring rather than bronzing. But in this case, I decided to pick up this little kit, and so it has a shade of blush in here that's called Dolce Vita, and then it has a mini of the bronzer in one of the lighter shades, and I think this has been okay for me. I think that I'm actually able to wear it as a regular bronzer. It might be just a little touch more orange than I would prefer, but I think it's not a bad product at all. And so I think that if you can find a shade in these bronzers that works with your skin tone, I think that these are actually a really good formula for use in bronzers also. And in terms of the older products, I think the one that I am the most impressed with are their lipsticks. And so these are called the Explicit Refillable Lipsticks, and they come in a wide variety of different colors. And I think that these perform super well on my lips, and it is easy to replace them, although you can't just buy the refill in these and then use them. You do need a case to stick them in. And so I have a number of different shades of these, and I do always really like them when I wear them. And then I also think that they do a nice job with lip products in general. And so, for instance, last year they brought out this one, which is a lip oil, and I have this in a color that is called Faraway, which I think is very pretty. It's kind of a milky tea type of a color with just a little bit of pink in it. And this year they came out with this new lip balm, and this is called the Afterglow Lip Balm. And the old version had some sunscreen in it, chemical sunscreen, but this one does not. And it's kind of a matte type of a formula, and I have really liked this one, and it doesn't have any kind of flavor in it or anything. And then if you want a lip balm that is kind of shiny, then they do also make those. And this is called the Afterglow Sensual Shine Lipsticks, and I think that these are very nice, and they come in a variety of different pretty colors also. And then if you want to go matte, I think that Nars has some really, really good matte lipsticks that do stay on the lips really better than any other product that I have ever found, and that I can wear pretty easily, especially if I put a lip primer down under them. And so these are the Power Matte lipsticks, and then they have a line that is called the Power Matte Lip Pencils, which are really very similar to the Power Matte lipsticks, but they're just a little bit softer and not quite as durable. And in terms of foundation products, I think that their light reflecting foundation, that's actually a really good all-purpose type of a foundation. It doesn't have a lot of moisture in it, but I think that it works really well on my own skin, and that if I want a foundation that has a bit more medium coverage, that one is quite a good one for me. And they also have a full line of eyeshadow sticks. And the first ones that they came out with were the matte ones. And I have a couple of shades of these, and I do think that they are really, really nice. I think that they are quite similar, for instance, to the Jones Road eyeshadow sticks, but I may like these more. And then in addition, there's shimmer ones, and it says aluminum powder on the may contain one for that, and so I haven't actually tried those out yet. And now let's move on to Natasha Denona. And so she has come out with quite a few new products and some new shades in older products over the past couple of months. And so first of all, there are some eyeshadow quads. And so these are called the Luxe Glam Quads. And two of those do have some shades with aluminum powder in them. And unfortunately, you cannot remove those from the palettes. And so I didn't purchase those, but I did purchase this one, which does not have any aluminum powder in it, and this is the nude version. And so I did put this on my eyes, and I think that this is kind of appealing and that it has worked well for me. It's pretty rare for me to find any Natasha Denona palettes that I really don't like at all, and so I think that this is one that is worth purchasing, although whether it is as good as some of the other eyeshadows that she has, I don't know. And then another eyeshadow palette that she came out with very recently is this one, which is called the Mini Eye Sculpt palette, and this is the cool version of this. And this did come out in a warm version earlier, but that one actually included quite a bit of talc in it, and this one does not have any talc in it at all. And so apparently Natasha Denona is trying to move towards doing more palettes without talc in them, and that does make me a little bit nervous because there are some occasions when typical non-talc eyeshadow palettes like this that are just pressed powder, that they do seem like they are really nice up front, and then they start to be not as nice after some time goes by. And so I will look forward to seeing how this one does hold up over time, but so far it's not too bad. And I think that if I am looking to have a eyeshadow palette that I can put just a little bit of something shimmery over the top of it, that this is not a bad choice for that. Now, another new product line that she came out with are the high gloss tinted lip balms, and apparently there was a product defect in that one, and so most of the shades did have kind of a burnt taste to them, something like that, and so I definitely would not be interested in that. And I think that she did recall some of them, and so if you got one that tastes burnt, I would try to return that one. I think that that is not right, that people should be paying for that. There were a couple of shades, and I think that the lilac one is one of those that did not have that burnt flavor to it, and it just had a plain vanillin flavor. And again, I'm not all that crazy about vanillin in general, but it could be that when they come back and bring out more of these, and I can be sure that all of them are going to be okay, I might still try them because a few people have said that they really like the way that those looked on them. Now, not everyone has been a fan of the Natasha Denona blush duos, but I did actually like the one that I bought, and I wore it quite a bit in the summer because it was kind of a peach shade. And so now she came out with two new versions of these, and so one of them is a nude type of a shade, and the other one is kind of a lilac type of a shade. And so with this, you get one blush, and then you also get a coordinating like blush topper or highlighter type of a shade. And I think that these have both worked really well for me, and I was surprised that I was able to make this lilac one work when I am creating looks that are a bit more on the cool side. And specifically this nude one I think has been really, really good. And so I feel like this is a product that I do recommend, even though it may not be that everyone likes it as much as I do. And Natasha Denona's line of lip liners are called I Need a Nude. And so this time she came out with two new shades. And so one is called Cherry Blossom, and then the other one is called Cherry Cola. Cherry Cola looked like it was pretty dark, but I do feel like this one has been performing well for me. And I think especially today when I put it on and then I put on that Charlotte Tilbury lipstick over it, I think that it's actually been holding up quite nicely. And so I feel like I'm a little bit reevaluating this line compared to the older version of this, which I don't feel like I liked quite as much. That was just a plain pink shade, I think, and so maybe they've either improved the formula or the new versions, when they come from the warehouse, maybe they perform a little bit better. I'm not sure. And I also do think that Natasha Denona makes some good eye pencils, and so I have one that is kind of a green shade that I really like, and I have one that is a taupe shade that I thought was really, really good. That was the first taupe eyeliner that I think I picked up, and I still do like that a lot. But mostly what I like from Natasha Denona, like everyone, is their eyeshadow palettes, and so I have listed the ones here that are in Color Stories that I really like as being A+ or top picks, but it really depends on what kind of colors you like. And most of those palettes do have at least one shade of aluminum powder in them, but they are palettes where you can take those out and mix and match them, and so therefore if I want to remove them so that I'm less likely to use them, then I can go ahead and do that, and that's why those are included in this. And I feel like I especially like the mini palettes, and so I don't know that I'm going to get that much use out of this one, but really all of the mini palettes that do have a little bit of shimmer in them, I think that those have been really outstanding and quite a good deal. Now, Necessaire continues to be my favorite body care company, and I actually once did a whole video on Necessaire and the products from them that I like, and I just use their fragrance-free products. And so the product that I like the most is the body serum, and that is one that is like a hyaluronic serum, and so anytime I use any kind of body lotion, I will just add a squirt of that, and I think it makes everything that I use perform much better. And I also do like their body lotion, and so that is the main product that I do use on my body most of the time. And again, that is performing really well, and it doesn't feel uncomfortable to me. It doesn't smell or taste bad, and in general I think that that has been a particularly good product. And then in addition, they have a body cream, and I feel like they used to have an unscented body cream and that it went away for a while, and that this one may be different, and so I may go ahead and purchase that during the sale just to give it a try. And I also really like their deodorant. I think that the Kosas deodorant and this one, if I'm using the unscented versions, I think that they are very similar to one another, and so I am happy to use both of those. And Necessaire also makes a good unscented hand cream, and so I have gone through a couple of tubes of that, and I do like it quite a lot. One of my top products from last year is this product from One Size, which is called the B12 Base Thinner. And so if I have a foundation that I feel like is a little bit too matte, or it's a little bit not performing as well as I would like, if I put a squirt of this in the foundation before I put it on my face, I do think that it behaves a bit better. And so this year they came out with a new version of this, and the new version has a more like a bronzy type of a color. And I did get a chance to try that in the store, and I felt like it was leaning a little bit orange, and so I'm not sure how it would do actually mixed with the foundation for me, and so I might be interested in giving that a try just because I do like this version so much. Now, I don't think that Pat McGrath herself has anything really to do with the Pat McGrath Labs brand anymore, and I think that the people there are trying to sell it, or maybe they are getting a big infusion of additional cash, but in any case, it does seem to be going through a difficult period at the moment. But nonetheless, they do have a new product, and this is called the Lip Sculpt and Shape Duo. And I don't see anything on the ingredient list that makes me feel like this would be a no-go for me. And I've seen a couple of reviews for it, and I haven't seen any reviews that make me feel like I need to run out and buy it right away, but I do think that it looks like it might be okay. In terms of the products from Pat McGrath that I really like, first of all, I like their Satin Allure lipsticks, and I think that these are actually quite a good deal, especially if you can get them on sale. And so you may be able to get them at an even better sale on the Pat McGrath website from time to time, but even 20% off or whatever on the Sephora sale, I think that when you start with $30, this is a pretty good deal for this quality of lipstick. I also do really like their Dramatic Mega Lip Pencils, and I have a couple of shades of these, and I do think that these hold up really well on my lips, and that they are not too drying, and that I can wear these really easily, and so I would recommend those. And then I also like a couple of their powder products. They have an under eye powder that I actually use on my whole face, which is called the Sublime Perfection under eye powder, and that comes in a pink shade that I've used pretty often, and I've also used their regular translucent one. And I like their powder blushes, although those do have talc in them, but I have found that those perform really nicely also. I am a big fan of the Patrick Ta foundation, and this is a foundation that it doesn't really dry down that well, and so if that is what you're looking for, then this would not be the foundation for you. I think that of everything that I have, though, that this is the most similar to the Victoria Beckham foundation. Obviously, it doesn't have the Augustinus Bader proprietary peptide in it, but I do think that it looks really, really good on my mature skin, and especially if I use a setting spray or some kind of a good powder, I think that this is a very nice foundation for me, and that I have gotten some good use out of it. And I also do really like their eyeshadow duos, and so these are called Major Dimension, and they are 2 shades of like a topper, and so they are pretty sparkly, but I can use just very small amounts of it. And I purchased one last year, and then I purchased a new one when they came out with some new shades, and I think that a lot of people criticize those because they are $42, which people thought was kind of expensive for 2 eyeshadows, but I think the quality of that product in terms of the amount of pearls that are in it and how it looks when it is on the eyes, I think that that is well worth the price as far as I'm concerned. Now, Rhode is a company that I purchased really everything from before they even came to Sephora, and the only product that I am super enthusiastic about are their little blushes, and so these are fairly highly pigmented, but I think in terms of how they go on the skin and how nicely they blend in, I think that this is quite a nice formula, and so I have a couple of shades of these, and I would be willing to buy more of them, possibly in the future, and I do think that it is good that it is at Sephora. Now, Say has a couple of new products, and so the one that I have taken a look at is called the Super Suede Radiant Baked Powder Bronzer, and so this seems to be the same sort of a formula as they used for their baked powder blushes last year, and also a very similar formula to their finishing powder that they also released last year. And so I did try this out in the store, and I think that the particular formula of the product is okay, and in terms of the shade of the product, I certainly don't feel like these were as orange as the Rare Beauty ones. I think that they are ones that I was able to wear. I think that they're a little bit less cool and a little bit less appropriate for people with truly pale and cool skin than some of the other bronzers that are out there, like for instance the Fara Homidi one, or the one that is in that shade that I mentioned that is from Hourglass. But I do think that that one should be wearable for me, and that I do like that kind of powder formula enough that I might pick it up. And then in addition, a new product from them is their City Set Setting Spray, and I did spray a bit of this on my face when I was at the store, and I thought that it was fine and that it wasn't irritating, and so I may spring for the $18 minus the discount to get a mini version of this to give it more of a try, and I may end up liking it just as much as the Makeup by Mario one. We will see. And then they have a couple of other products that I also like. So as I said, I like their baked setting powder. I think that that is a nice little finishing powder. It's not real oil absorbing, but I do think that it is very fine and looks really pretty on my skin. And I also like their powder blush. I just have one shade of those because most of those shades are pretty bright, but I think that they are nice baked blushes and that they are fairly similar to some of the others that I really like. And then a few other products that they have that I have enjoyed. First of all, in terms of these dew blushes, they came out with a shade last year that is called Lady, which is kind of a mauve shade that I think has been really, really nice for me in terms of a nice muted blush. And now they make this shade and I think 3 of the others in mini versions for $17. I think that that is new this year, and so I think that that is convenient and a good deal to just try out some of these products. I also really like the mascara Mascara 101, which is now available in a brown shade, and I did use this one an awfully lot, and I think that I might buy it again just because it is a pretty good deal on a mascara that I really enjoy. And then I also really like their Slip Tint Concealer, and I actually think that that is very similar to both the Sarah Creel Concealer and also the RMS Concealer in terms of how it performs on my mature and sensitive eyes. I think it is pretty much the same. And so if you are interested in the Sarah Creel Concealer, but the $58 price tag makes you blanch. I don't know that this one is that much less expensive on a per gram basis, but in terms of being able to just try it out and buy it in, I think that the price tag of $28 is much more approachable, especially if you can get it on sale. And now we are at one of my very favorite brands, and this is Sarah Creel, and this is a brand that is specifically supposed to be a luxury brand that is intended for women over 40, and I think they have actually been doing quite a good job of coming out with release after release that I've really, really liked. And so the new release that they just came out with just a day or two ago is called the Coming In Hot Blurring Pressed Mousse Blush for $45, and this is available in a number of different shades. And from what I can tell, it seems a bit like the blushes that are from Sochi, but I will be interested in trying these Sarah Creel ones, at least one to start out with, to see how that performs for me, because so far it sounds like it may be a good product. Another product that I've really gone all in on, it seems, are the eyeliners from Sarah Creel, and so these are $35. They're called Eyes Up. And so I have 7 different shades so far, and I think that these are really good. And I was a little bit unhappy to see that some of the shades do have aluminum powder on the ingredient list. So those are the shades that are called Jungle, which is the green one, and Copper, and the Twilight Smoke one. And actually, before I found that out, I already tried the Twilight Smoke one, and I didn't find that that was irritating at all for me, and I was really surprised because usually aluminum powder is very, very irritating for me. And then I purchased this Jungle one by mistake, even though I later found out that this did have aluminum powder on the ingredient list, and so I went ahead and tried that, and that is actually what I'm wearing today, and that one seems perfectly fine too. I haven't had any problems with it, and I've worn it repeatedly, and so I guess I will go ahead and keep wearing these. I think that in general, if a product does not cause me irritation, then I am a little bit less worried about it, but I'm not sure why aluminum powder would not be bothering me in this particular product, whereas it is in other products. So in terms of these eyeliners, I think that when I first have gotten them, I was just so blown away by how they were performing, because they go on really, really nicely, and they smudge really easily, but they hold up really well. And in general, everything that I want in an eyeliner, I think that these have been really, really good. Now, one thing that I will say is that I think that the mistake that I made with one of these is that I put the wrong cap on the top. And so they have 2 different caps, and one of them is a cap that has like it curves in towards the pencil, so maybe that provides more of an airtight seal. And then the other one is just covering over this nice brush on here. And this is a really, really good brush, but the cap that goes on top of this is just a regular cap, and I think that maybe that doesn't have a real airtight seal. And so I think it's possible that the reason that the taupe one that I have is not performing as well for me as it was 4 months ago or so is because maybe I put the wrong cap on the end. So now I am being really careful to put the right cap over the actual pencil with the hope of preserving them a little bit better. But in general, that's the only one that I've had problems with, and the other ones still continue to be working really well. And so I think that I will continue to get a lot of use out of these, and I'm not all that interested in using any other eyeliner pencils at this point because these have been performing so well. Now, Sarah Creel did come out with 3 new shades over the past month or 2, and so I did pick up all 3 of those shades. And so the first one is a rose bronze color, and that's a little bit odd. They do make a number of different shades that I think are really too light to be an eyeliner. So there's a golden one and a bronze one, and this one, which is a rose bronze one. And I can use it as if it's sort of like an eyeshadow type of a product, and I just put on like a really thick amount of it around my eyes. And I think it's pretty, but it is really, really muted. I wonder if you have a darker skin tone than I do, then it might show up a bit better. But in any case, I think that that one is nice, but I kind of doubt that I'll be using it all that much. And then I also have one that is called Maritime, which is a dark blue color with just a tiny little bit of a shimmer in it. And I think that that one is really, really pretty. And in general, I do really like blue eyeliners. And then third, they have one that's called Jungle, which is that green shade. And I do really like a green eyeliner, and I am really happy that I've been able to wear that, and it hasn't caused me any irritation at all. I did notice that they now have the eyeliner sharpener at Sephora now, and so you can get it, and you can get it on a bit of a discount. And so I think that that is a good thing to pick up if you're not sure if you have an eyeliner sharpener that will work all that well, because not all eyeliner sharpeners work really well with these pencils. Another new line of products from Sarah Creel are the Face Flex correctors, and so there are, I think, 5 different shades of these, and so I picked up 2 of those, and I found these to be very similar to the Face Flex concealers, and I really like those concealers, and I think that these correctors also work really, really well, and so I do highly recommend these. And I did recently do a whole video on correctors where I talked about these and where I talked about the new ones from RMS, and I do like these more, and so I do feel pretty comfortable recommending these to people either instead of using the Face Flex concealers or in addition to them, depending on what you can get away with regard to your skin tone. But I do think this is a really great formula, and that in terms of not causing my eyes to look like they are older than they actually are or more wrinkled than they actually are, I think that these do a particularly good job with that, and it does hold up really well. Another product from Sarah Creel that I use very, very often is this Moisture Source by Phase Brightening Essence. And so this is a product that usually when I'm putting on makeup, I will just put a bit of this on underneath it. And I do think that it serves as a nice base for whatever kind of makeup I'm putting on over the top of it. And it does provide some moisture to my skin and some hydration, and I haven't found it to be irritating at all. And even though it looks like I haven't actually used it that much, I have used this dozens of times. It just does not require very much of this in order to get my face totally hydrated. And there is a smaller container of this now, and so you can buy it for something that I consider to be a reasonable price rather than this only having this large container, which is like $100 or something. Another product that I use really frequently is this product that is called Lip Grip. And so this is a lipstick primer that I put on, especially when I'm wearing anything that's like a matte lipstick. And it does go on really easily. And I think it's a little bit like the product that is called Prep Plus Prime from MAC, except it doesn't have any vanilla flavor in it, and it's supposed to have some good skincare in it, and I think that my lips do really like this, and it does perform really, really well under all of the lipsticks that I've tried. And Sarah Creel does make some lip repair balms, and they're actually 2 different kinds. They're made in 2 different factories with 2 different formulas, but they are both called the Adults Are Talking Lip Repair Balm. And so the one that is clear, this one is super hydrating and super soft, and you will use it up really, really fast. But I do think that this is quite good for the lips, and it does have a lot of peptides and things in it. And so I think it is a nice product, but I personally feel like I do better if I invest in the Augustinus Bader one instead. And then there is also a number of shades of this that are tinted, and they are like a balmy type of a product. And I think this is nice also, and I do think it looks nice on my lips, but I don't think it is the same formula at all as the other one. It's not even made in the same country. And so I have this one of these, but I haven't gone and bought any more of them. And they also make a line of products that are called the No Further Questions Lip Gloss. And so these are pretty moisturizing, and they come in a lot of different colors. I think that this one, which is kind of shimmery, this one may be only available on the Cerakoil website, but I have been really liking these as well. And so I think that as lip glosses go, these are particularly good ones, and they don't have any kind of flavor or anything in them, and I found them to be very nice. And in general, I do like a tubing type of a mascara that goes on pretty dry and that doesn't try to make my lashes look a lot bigger than they actually are, that is just really tinting them and making them darker. And I think that this eye mascara, that this has actually been a really nice one, and I would prefer it if it were brown, but nonetheless I did really use this quite a number of times, and I thought that it held up really well for me, and it kind of kept going for quite a while. And then finally there's a luminizer, which is called Today's Highlights. And this is pretty expensive, but in terms of the performance, I think it has been very nice, and I have used this quite a bit. Summer Fridays has several different new products out this season, and so the one that I have tried is called the Soft Line Lip Liner, and I picked this one up in a shade that is called Pecan, which is sort of a maroon color. It is a reddish brown type of a color, and I think it's actually been very nice. I think that it may not be my favorite lip liner, but I would still give it an A+ as a lip liner so far in terms of my enjoying using it and it holding up pretty well. And in addition, they have, as I discussed early in the video, a product that is called the Flushed Lip Stain Lip Tint, which is sort of looks like a magic marker that you use to draw a tint on your lips. And so I don't know how I feel about that, but I would be interested in whether people have tried this one or any of the others. And then also there is a line of bronzing drops and illuminating drops, and I feel like when I've looked at the ingredient list for that they look like they might be okay, and so I do want to try those out in the store when I find them. And the product from Summer Fridays that I have liked the most are called the Blush Butter Balms. And so this has kind of a nice, soft, sort of Jones Road Miracle Balm type of a feeling to it. And so there are a number of pretty colors, and they definitely are blushes, but I do feel like when I put this on that it does give my skin some nice moisture and a little bit of blurring. And so I like it a lot. And for Tom Ford, of the products that are available at Sephora that I like, there is the Traceless Soft Matte Concealer. And this is a concealer that used to actually be my favorite concealer on the market. And it is the case that there have been some good alternatives that are not quite so expensive that have come out since then. But I still think this is a very good concealer, and that you really can't go wrong with this one as far as I'm concerned, or at least I have had very good experiences with it. And then also they have a lip pencil that came out last year or maybe the year before. And this is a bit unusual because it does last so well on the lips. And so if you are looking for a lip pencil that will really hold up and that will coordinate with whatever kind of lipstick you're wearing, but actually it'll hold up much better than really any other lip liner in my collection, this would be the one. And Tower 28 is one of the more affordable brands that is at Sephora, and they do make a number of products that I think are pretty good. And I do still like their Make Waves mascara, and now it is available in a brown shade, and so I am happy about that. And the product from them that I use the most is the SOS Rescue Spray, which is a hypochlorous acid spray, and that is something that I use when my skin gets kind of messed up from trying too many strange products that have irritated it. And so I think that when I do that it brings the microbiome back into balance and kind of resets it. And I have tried many products from Violette FR, and most of them do have some kind of a scent in them that I'm not all that crazy about. And in an increasing number of cases, this is an artificial synthetic type of a fragrance. The one product from them that I do really like is the Baume Sheen Highlighter Balm, and I think that this is somewhat similar, for instance, to the Westman Atelier Lit Up Highlighter Balms. And I think that $28 for a product like this is a pretty good price, and so I think this could be something for some people to consider. And now we are at what I think is probably my favorite brand of all at the moment, and this is Westman Atelier. And as I was sitting here and filming this video, I did get in a new product from the UPS person that came and brought it. And so what I got was the Sun Tone Bronzing Cream, and I have this in the lightest shade. And so I just swatched this on my arm, and I was a little bit surprised because this is a very, very kind of thick formula. And so I was kind of thinking that it was going to be a little bit on the dewy side, and it's really not. It's actually quite thick. And so I guess I can put a little tiny bit of one of these shades on my cheek right now just to see what it looks like. But I think that what I'm going to have to do with this is to play with it over the next day or two and see if I can get a handle on what it's like, because it's really quite different than most of the bronzers that I own, or most of the blushes, just to see if I can make this work for me. So I probably will do some kind of a short video and let you know what this is like for me before the Sephora sale is over. And I'm not objecting to how it's looking on me. Let's try this other shade. And so I think that there is some potential here. And I think it's a lot different than the other bronzers from this company, so that's kind of intriguing. And I kind of like the way that looks. Let me know what you think. Now, the other line of products that is brand new from them are their lipsticks. And so these are called Hydra Balm Sheer Tinted Lipsticks. And so far I have 3 of these. And the reason that I picked these up is because I was able to get them at a somewhat lower price when I was buying other products in terms of it being a set. And so the 3 that I have are darker shades because I wanted, those are ones that I was a bit more skeptical about in terms of how they would look. So I wanted to try them on for you. And so the newest one that I got is called Glog, and that is supposed to be a black cherry type of a shade. And so I do really like this one quite a bit, and I wore that earlier in the video, and I like the way that that looks quite a lot. And then I also have one that's called Brick, and that is just really a brick red type of a shade, and I do think that that is really attractive on me also. And then there also is one that is called Onyx, and that one is kind of a purpley type of a color, but pretty sheer. And all of these are fairly sheer, but they do give a fair amount of color to the lips. And in general, I really do like the way that they look on me, and they do have that kind of grippy type of a feeling to them, and so they stay on my lips really well. And so regardless of whether or not I am wearing a lip liner, I do think that they are performing really well, and that when I put them on, they look good for quite a long period of time. The color doesn't wear away right away, and they don't really get outside my lip line. And so all in all, I do think these are really great. Now, there is a tiny little bit of a ingredient in this that it's not menthol, but it's like a relative of menthol, and so it gives kind of a cooling flavor and just a tiny little bit of a mint type of a flavor, and that does make me worried because that kind of thing often does irritate my lips, especially if I wear it very often. And so I have been wearing these quite a lot, and I haven't found them to be irritating for me, and I can just taste that minty thing just a tiny little bit when I wear them, but my lips don't seem to be objecting, so I am really happy about that. And so $50 for lipsticks is quite expensive, so I can't really purchase every single one that they are offering, but I do really like these quite a lot. And I do really like these cases. They are really sturdy and heavy. They have very strong magnets in them, which means that they repel one another, and so that is a little bit on the frustrating side. But in general, I think that they do feel really like they are high quality, and in theory, you should be able to get refills eventually. So there's none that are available on the Westman Atelier website yet, but maybe they will be coming. Now, another product that came out last year that I do think is best in category for this company are their lip liners. And so I do have an awfully lot of expensive lip liners, but I think that these are really, really good. And especially if I am trying to draw on a lip line that is just a little bit overlined, I think that these work really, really well for that. And they don't have any shades that are really bright like red, but I do feel like really all of the shades that I have tried have been working really, really well for me, and that they do coordinate with lipsticks without making it look like I have a really bright and really sculpted lip. And so in general, I am really, really impressed with these. I wouldn't have bought so many of them if I didn't really, really like them. And this is my favorite lip liner at this point for sure. Another product that is best in category for me are their Baby Cheeks blush sticks, and I use these an awful lot, and I actually do keep my bag with all of them right out in my filming area all the time so that I can just pull out whichever colors I want, because I think that despite the fact that some of these colors are really bright, they do blend in really well, and the colors are so on point and not so bright that I can't wear all of them actually. And so the most recent one that they have is called Fizz, and I do have that one. And I don't think that that one is going to be at Sephora. I think that that is just available on the Westman Atelier website. And that is a kind of a bright color. And so I think that probably I should do some kind of a small video where I talk about that one and compare it to all of the other ones that I have. But in general, I do really like these. And there are some minis that are available through Sephora that I think could be worth trying out to start, because this is such a good formula. So I think that if you can get a chance to give it a try, you may really like it. And then in addition, they make a line of sticks that are called the Lit Up Highlighter Sticks. And so after searching far and wide to see if I could find something that was similar to the Jones Road Miracle Bombs, I came to the conclusion that in terms of my finding something that's exactly like those, there really isn't anything. But if I want just to get that kind of a look that is glassy and pretty and kind of blurring, that these work really, really well and really are my favorites. And they are somewhat similar to the Chanel Baume Essentiel, but I think I might even like these better. And I certainly think I like the colors of these really, really well. And so, for instance, this is one that is called Brûlée, which is a color that I wear a lot in the summer, which is kind of a pinky, taupey, bronzy type of a color that I think is really pretty. And really all of the colors of these are really, really good. And I actually have all of the colors of this one also, and I have gotten an awful lot of use out of them, and I wear them almost every day over the top of whatever other kind of makeup I'm wearing. And then just a month or two ago, they came out with a lot of new shades in their contour stick line. And the contour sticks are actually the exact same formula as the blushes with just some different colorings in them. And so I do really like this as well. It blends into the skin really easily. And the thing that I'm really happy about is that they came out with some really good shades in this, and that when I wear these shades, it really gives me the look of having just a little bit of a blushy bronzer type of a color that is similar to that color of the Fara Homidi bronzer that so many people like. That's kind of a pinky taupe type of a color. And then there's some other colors in here that I think work really well for me also. And so I did do a video where I talked about these in depth, and I did a lot of different swatches. And so I really can highly recommend these to people that want a blushy bronzer type of a look that makes it seem like you're actually not wearing any kind of product at all, but that does give a little bit of life to the face. I have been using these quite a lot also. And then another product that also gives that blushy, bronzy type of a look, and that I think is the number one in its category, is this product that is the Suntone Bronzing Drops. And so I picked these up last year, and they're only supposed to have a 6-month usage life, and so that concerned me a little bit because that's not a very long time. But it's been over a year, and these still seem okay to me, and so I have been happy about that. And so I think that if I want to get just a really subtle bronzy type of a look, that this works really, really easily, and that I can wear this both on top of makeup or on its own, and I think it looks really natural and really attractive. And so even though I'm not really crazy about some of the other products from Westman Atelier that come in containers like that, like this one, I think that this is a really, really good product. And then also last year, Westman Atelier came out with a line of powder blush duos, and these are $75, but I did like several of the shades so much that I have purchased 3 of them, and 2 of the ones that I have are available on the Sephora website. And so there is this one, which has a peachy color, and then a kind of a bronzy type of a taupe type color. And then this one has 2 colors that are kind of on the brownie type of a side. And I think that both of these have worked really, really well for me, and that I have really enjoyed them. And I also really like this particular case, which does give 2 different shades in it and is kind of sleek and feels good in my hand. And then I also am a fan of their Squeaky Clean tinted lip balms, and these are listed as having some flavor, and some of them do have a little bit of a lemony type flavor, but I have never objected to the flavor in any of these, and I don't feel like the more recent ones have too much flavor in them anyway. And I do feel like these have been really good for my lips, and that as lip balms go, I think that these are both elegant and they are also really, really good for my lips, and they do look really good on my lips. And I do like the little doe foot applicator that are in these. I think that this goes on really nicely. And then they have another line of highlighters, and I actually have all of the shades of those also. And these are called the Super Loaded Tinted Highlighters. And these are highlighters that actually do have some shimmer in them, but they are a cream. And I think that is a really subtle shimmer. And so I can just put a little bit on. And Gucci Westman says that this is like the closer, and that you put this on last of all of the makeup that you are wearing. And it just adds a little bit of a finish to it. And I think that that's accurate. And that I have really liked those as well. And then there is a powder, and I have this in the shade Creme. And at first I wasn't all that crazy about this powder, but I found myself using it more frequently recently. And so certainly if I am looking to really reduce the oil, for instance, in a oily foundation that I'm wearing, that this is totally inappropriate for that. But if it is a time when I just have a very small amount of oil on my skin and I just want to make everything a little bit more even and pretty looking, that this is one of those powders that I think of as being more like a finishing powder, so a little bit more like the Say one, except I might like this one a bit more, and it's supposed to have some skincare ingredients in it that are good for the microbiome. And so I have been kind of liking this one recently, and I jacked it up from an A to an A+ because of that. And then they also make a mascara that is called I Want You, and that is available in brown. And for quite a while, that was my favorite mascara, but it is quite expensive at $45. And there have been a number of new mascaras that have come out recently that I think may be almost as good. And so I'm a little bit less inclined to spend $45 on that kind of mascara now, but I do think it's a quality product. And they also have a concealer that I think actually looks pretty good on my mature and dry and sensitive skin. And that is a concealer that is quite thick and quite high coverage. And so not everyone likes a concealer like that. And I think I like one that's more on the medium side. But if that is the kind of concealer that you like, where you just put on very, very small dots, then I think that the Westman Atelier one has been quite nice for me. And now finally we are at YSL, and so YSL does have a number of new products that are listed on the Sephora website. And so the first one is the Nude Hours Couture Eye Palette, and I have picked this one up, and it is $85. There's 9 shades in here, and I am curious about this one in terms of how different or similar it is to the Eye Quads, because the Eye Quads are products that are among my favorites in my entire makeup collection. And so I am going to be playing with this one a bit to see what I think of it. And this is actually not in stock on the Sephora website, and it seems to be sort of coming in and out of stock on various department store websites. And so at some point I will review this, hopefully when it is available for people to be able to actually get it. And then YSL has 2 new lip products, and most of the lip products that YSL has introduced in the past have had unspecified fragrance in them, and so that makes them a no-go for me. And these 2 products do just list flavor, and sometimes flavor is okay for me, and sometimes it's not, and so I'm a little bit more curious about that. One of these is called the Love Nude Lip Blusher, and so this sounds again like the kind of products that people are releasing these days where it's just a little bit of a hint of color, and so that does make me interested in it. But I did hear someone that purchased that and found the flavor in it to be so objectionable that she immediately returned it, and so that does make me wonder about it. And I'm kind of wondering if that's going to come into the Sephora that I go to so that I can look at it there rather than springing for it blind. And then there's also the Kiss Shaper lip liners, and lip liners don't usually have flavor in them, but these actually do, and so that makes me suspicious about these lip liners as well. And then also they have a product that is called the Lash Latex Mascara, and I think I got a little sample of that, but it is an awfully strange type of a product, and I've heard some people that have liked it and some people that have not liked it so much or said that they had a hard time getting it off. And so I'm kind of even afraid to try that product, but if you have tried it, then let me know what you think of it and whether or not you think I should actually experiment with it. Now, in terms of the YSL products in general, the ones that I have liked the most are the Couture Mini Clutch Eye Quads, and so I do have a whole bunch of those, and I made 2 videos that were dedicated just to reviewing those. And so the most recent one that Sephora has had problems getting in is the Unexplored Garden one, and so that I don't think it was even available in the U.S. for a long period of time, and it did come briefly into stock on the Sephora website, and I actually picked it up from that website, and it is out of stock at present, but I do really like this color story, and I like the way that it looks on my eyes, and in general, I think this is one of my favorites, and so if it does happen to come back into stock on Sephora or elsewhere, I would recommend it, and I will try to do a demonstration of this one fairly soon. The other products that YSL sells, the blushes seem to be really, really popular, so these powder blushes. And I have this one, which is a shade that is called Nude Lavalier, which is just very slightly shimmery. And I don't mind this one too much. I don't think I like it as much as the RMS blushes. I think that it is sort of the same sort of a thing, but that the RMS blushes are better. But this one is okay. And I also got one that was in a matte formula that I think was called Rose Haze. And that one I didn't like too much at all. I found it to be kind of patchy and kind of on the dry side. Now, there are 2 new shades of this blush that are available at Sephora now, and one looks like it is a really, really bright fuchsia type color, but the other one is called Honeymoon, and that one is supposed to be a caramel shimmer. And I was a little bit skeptical about this when I first saw it because it did look pretty dark, but I have heard a couple of different people that are on YouTube say that they have tried that and that they have actually liked it. And one of those people, which is Sophia Sees Beauty, she said that she didn't even like the original ones, but that she did like this particular formula. I did take a look at this at Sephora, and I thought that it still seemed like it was kind of on the dark side for me and that I might have a hard time wearing it and that I would have to use it really, really lightly. But I thought that it was interesting that some people are liking this particular blush shade better than a lot of the other blushes that they are offering. And so I would be a little bit interested still in experimenting with this a bit more. They also make a powder bronzer that I reviewed a couple of years ago, and that is called the All Hours Powder Bronzer. And I think that of the bronzers that are available at Sephora, that this is one of my favorites there. And then they also have a line of eyeliners that are called Lines Liberated Waterproof Eyeliner, and I do have one of those. The one that I have is a bronzy type of a shade, and I think that that has worked very nicely for me and that I would be open to the idea of getting another eyeliner from them. So thank you very much for watching all the way to the end of the video, and at the very end I will put a playlist that you can click on that will list all of the products that I have reviewed during 2026. So if you're interested in finding any of those reviews, you should be able to do that pretty easily from that playlist. And if there are any products that you would be interested in recommending or not recommending, or letting me know that you are especially interested in, then please do let us know all of that in the comments so that we can all learn from one another. And if you like the video, then please do hit like. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, then I would suggest that you do that, and also that you check your subscriptions feed so that you can be more likely to see my videos, because YouTube does tend to really hide them pretty thoroughly from a lot of people. And if you are going to be buying from Sephora and you were to use my affiliate link, then that may help me to keep the channel going for a little bit longer. And Coco and I do love you very much, and so thank you very much for watching the video and for helping us out. Goodbye. Ba-da-ba-da-da-ba,